Here is a business model that should be impossible. A company sells a product to nearly 1 billion people every week. It's one of the fastest growing products in human history. And yet, for every single dollar it earns, it loses about $1.22. It bleeds money on virtually every customer it serves. And the more customers it gets, the more money it loses. By the logic of every business school on earth, this company should be a catastrophe. Instead, in 2026, it filed to go public at a valuation north of $1 trillion, potentially the largest IPO in the history of the world. The company is OpenAI, and to understand how something this contradictory can exist, you have to understand what they're actually trying to build. They're not building a product, they're trying to build a god. Let's start with the numbers, because they are genuinely staggering in both directions. On one side, the success. OpenAI's ChatGPT reaches roughly 900 million weekly active users. Around 50 million people pay for it. Its revenue exploded from about $6 billion in 2024 to a run rate above $20 billion by the end of 2025, hitting roughly $25 billion by early 2026, generating around $2 billion every month. That is one of the fastest revenue ramps any company has ever achieved. By every growth metric, OpenAI is a generational success. Now the other side, the bleeding. In the first half of 2026 alone, OpenAI lost approximately $13.5 billion. For the full year, it's on track to burn around $27 billion in cash. And it gets worse before it gets better. Projections put the 2027 burn at over $60 billion. According to one analysis of its filings, the company lost about $1.22 for every single dollar it brought in. By its own forecasts, OpenAI does not expect to turn cash flow positive until around 2030. So how does a company hemorrhaging money this fast get valued like the most precious business on the planet? The answer comes down to one word: compute. Here's the engine of the whole paradox. Every time you ask ChatGPT a question, it isn't free for OpenAI. Behind your simple little text box sits a colossal farm of specialized computer chips, mostly made by NVIDIA, running calculations so intense they consume staggering amounts of electricity. This is called inference, the cost of actually running the AI for users. In 2025, OpenAI's inference costs reached around $8.4 billion. In 2026, they're projected to hit over $14 billion. Think about that. The more people use the product, the more it costs to run. Most software gets cheaper per user as it scales. That's the magic of tech. OpenAI is the opposite. Each new user adds cost. The product is so expensive to operate that even paying subscribers don't fully cover what they consume. That's why it loses money on nearly every customer. The very popularity that makes it look like a triumph is also what's setting fire to billions of dollars. And training the next model, that's even more brutal. To build a smarter AI, you need even more chips, even more data centers, even more power. And you have to commit to all of it years in advance, before the revenue to justify it even exists. OpenAI has signed up for one of the most aggressive spending sprees in corporate history, with future commitments reported to be in the hundreds of billions of dollars, tied to massive data center projects. They are spending money they don't have on infrastructure they don't yet need, betting everything on a future that hasn't arrived. So why would anyone, let alone trillion-dollar markets, fund this? Because of the bet underneath it. And this is where it stops being a normal company. OpenAI's actual stated mission is not to make a great chatbot. It's to build something they call AGI, Artificial General Intelligence. An AI as smart as a human across virtually every task. And beyond that, superintelligence, an AI smarter than all of humanity combined. The $27 billion a year isn't being burned to improve a search box, it's being burned in a race to create the most powerful technology that has ever existed. If they succeed, the thinking goes, the financial return wouldn't be measured in billions. Imagine a single system that could do the work of millions of doctors, diagnosing patients, millions of engineers designing machines, millions of scientists running experiments, all at once, around the clock, never tiring. An intelligence like that wouldn't just be a profitable product, it would be the last invention humanity ever needs to make, because it could then invent everything else. That is the prize OpenAI believes is sitting at the end of all this spending. And if you genuinely believed you were close to building it, no amount of money would feel too large to get there first. Whoever controls that technology, the logic goes, controls the future itself, which is exactly why the spending looks insane and rational at the very same time. That is the trillion-dollar logic. Investors aren't paying for the $25 billion in revenue today. They're buying a lottery ticket on godlike technology tomorrow. Sam Altman has publicly targeted $100 billion in annual revenue by 2027, and internal projections reportedly stretch toward $280 billion by 2030. The valuation isn't based on what OpenAI is. It's based on what it might become. And in June 2026, OpenAI confidentially filed to go public, with Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley leading a process targeting a valuation above $1 trillion. A raise reportedly aiming for as much as $60 billion, which would dwarf the largest IPO ever recorded. But here's the part the hype machine doesn't want you to dwell on. This bet is far from safe, and the cracks are already showing. OpenAI is no longer the clear leader. Rivals have caught up and, by some measures, pulled ahead. Anthropic, the maker of Claude, is reportedly growing even faster and is in talks at valuations approaching OpenAI's own. When competitors can match your product, the trillion-dollar premium for being the one starts to look shaky. Then there's the pricing pressure, the dependence on Microsoft, which still takes a cut, and the simple, brutal question every public investor will eventually ask: when exactly does this make money? OpenAI says 2030. That's an awfully long time to keep setting fire to tens of billions of dollars a year and asking the market to keep refilling the tank. So step back and look at what's really happening here. OpenAI is the purest expression of the entire AI era. A company so confident that it's building the future, it's willing to lose more money than most nations earn, betting that the prize at the end justifies any price along the way. Either it becomes the most valuable enterprise in human history by creating a genuine machine god, or it becomes the most expensive cautionary tale ever told, the symbol of a bubble that burned hundreds of billions chasing a dream that arrived too slowly. There is very little room in between. A company losing $1.22 on every dollar, asking the world to value it at $1 trillion, is not making a normal business bet. It's making a bet on the nature of the future itself. If you want the biggest, strangest, highest stakes stories in money and technology explained without the hype and without the doom, just the real mechanics, then subscribe, because that's exactly what we do here. And I genuinely want to know where you land on this one, so tell me in the comments. Is OpenAI building the most valuable thing humanity has ever created, or is this the clearest sign yet that the AI bubble is about to pop? Make your case.